Welcome to Get Your Bell Wrong, a pro wrestling podcast. I am your host, KG Landry. With me tonight, I have a WCW veteran, author of Looking Up at the Lights, the incredible, the one and only Robbie Idol. Also joining us is my other co-host. He is actually the co-host of Rasslin Memories. He is none other than a man that knows everything about professional wrestling. If you want to talk professional wrestling history, he is the man to talk to. I am, of course, talking about the one, the only, the Grizzled vet. What's going on, guys?
What's happening, guys?
Not a whole lot, man. Tonight, we're talking, of course, about AEW Dynamite, Grizzled. What was your overall thoughts about the show last night?
Like I said before we came on here, I actually enjoyed last night's show. It had a few flaws. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to bitch about a couple things. But the main thing I noticed, though, and I don't know what you guys saw this, when they opened the show and it was in a theater, that was like the most beautiful looking like building I have seen. The crowd look was huge. Yeah. I mean, I liked the layout. I thought the overall appearance of the show, that got me right off the bat. When the opening camera shot showed that crowd in that building, I thought it looked amazing.
Yeah, it was very unique looking because it really looked like they were in the theater because you see the crowd kind of, on one side with the ring and then with the screen down, the problem. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I agree. Robbie, what was your thoughts overall about the show, my man?
I liked it. It was a good show. It was AEW. People can say what they want, but they're putting a better show together than what we're seeing on Raw and SmackDown.
True.
That's my opinion. But then again, I think NXT's been putting on a better show than Raw and SmackDown.
I gotta watch NXT. I haven't watched it in a while. Let's jump into it. We opened up with Samoa Joe delivering a message from early in the day saying that there's a bounty on Hangman Adam Page. He warns that someone is coming after Hangman, and who that someone is, none other than Brian Keith. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. When he said Brian Keith's name, I had to shake my head. Nothing against Brian Keith, but it's not like this guy has a great win-loss history within AEW. Wasn't that impressed with the promo. Kind of lost me a little bit when he started talking about Brian Keith. Grizzle, start with you. Did you think that, hey, Brian Keith is a great guy too, he has that character. There is the whole, bounty thing happening. Why not Brian Keith?
Well, for me, when Samoa Joe first said bounty, I kind of figured where they're going with this. I cannot say anything bad about Brian Keith, though, because he's one of our guys. He's a Texas guy. This is where he came from. I've actually been at shows with Brian Keith. The way they present him on TV is not what I saw, but unfortunately, that's kind of the case. When you get something like that, they repackage you. I was excited for it just because it gave him like more of a spotlight against solid opponent, and it was a good match. We'll talk about it. The match wasn't bad,
right? Yeah, and I agree. My problem isn't with Brian Keith. My problem is because they have the way they have booked Brian Keith. He just doesn't come across as being, having that name to be the threat for Hangman Adam Page, a guy that Hangman Adam Page should be shaking in his boots about. That was my issue with that. Robbie, your thoughts on it?
I agree with you. The same thing. It's just the way they've kind of present them, and stuff like that. I know he's the bounty hunter, but he just, so if that's how you're going to package him, you would think they'd, make him a little bit more of a badass.
I agree. And I don't know why they have it because I like Brian Keith. I think he's very talented. I really do. I think that he has a badass look about him. He looks like he's a guy that you would want to run from. But again, because of the way they have packaged him, his character doesn't come across that way. Grizzled, do you agree with what I'm saying that, he should have been packaged and booked better so he can fit that mode of being a threat?
Yes, the way they packaged him is not good. Pairing him with the Learning Tree and Jericho and Big Bill wasn't No. And like I said, I've had a chance to see a different side of Brian Keith. I've had a chance to sit in front row and watch him work and do what he can do. So I know what he can do. And, like you said, packaging. And unfortunately, they've done that, a few times. I've seen a few guys that I know from here locally that have been put on a show. And even if they were supposed to be a squash opponent, they weren't presented well. There's a problem with AEW sometimes that Tony doesn't present indie talent correctly. I think Brian Keith is in that situation.
Right. So we go to our first match. I'm sorry, guys. So we go to our first match, and again, it's the Hangman Adam Page versus Brian Keith. Big Bill is along with Brian Keith, and we've seen Big Bill get involved in that match tonight. Good match. As you said, Grizzled, Robbie, nothing wrong with the match. It was entertaining, but it was no shocker that Hangman Adam Page would get that victory. Robbie, start off with you. What did you think about this match?
It was a good match. I mean, you give AEW credit. We're not doing 20, 40-minute promos and to bore us to get to death to start with. At least we're opening up. We've got wrestling to start with. I mean, they did the promo with Joe, but it wasn't a long ass promo. So you had, and then we went to wrestling. So you had, you had the show. You started something with, get your interest in stuff. So no, it was a good match.
Right. Yep. What about you, Grizzle? What you think?
I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good way to open the show. Nothing, major, In fact, the show kind of built up as it went along last night, which is what I liked. But, it was a good start. And once again, the way it was with the crowd and the way they're situated, it seemed more like an intimate setting because it was a smaller crowd, which I think made this match. I think this made that match look even better. If this had been a match and say in front of double the amount of people in a bigger building, I don't think it would have looked as good or been as good. Right. I think it was that smaller arena, the kind of intimate setting that made this match better.
Right. I agree. Granny Hawkshaw says, good evening, everyone. I will be giving you a call, I promise, within the next week or so to get you on the show. Mr. Zeller says, good evening, gentlemen. What's going on, Terry, brother? Thank you both for joining us. You know what? AEW, for myself, has become, a promotion that really reminds me of back in the day, the territory days of taping in these smaller studios of Georgia Championship Wrestling, for instance, or Mid-South Wrestling. That's really what it reminds me of. It's great when they have these big crowds during their pay-per-views, but for some reason, having this smaller, intimate crowd seems to work for AEW. Robbie, do you agree with that, or do you think, they just need to get back to being able to have all of their shows in these arenas?
No, because having this like in a smaller venue, you got more people in there. So I mean, when they panned, we'll get into it, but when they went through the crowd and stuff, it was packed. So now you got a full house. So you're not, worried about selling out a big arena and stuff. And we'll say it's more intimate, it's just better when the smaller venues, because it's now you're drawing a larger crowd.
Right. Gray says, I was at AEW last week when they were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oh, wow. That is awesome, actually.
Yes.
Grizzle, what are your thoughts? Do you think that they should be pushing to get back to where they were at the beginning, when they were filling out these big arenas for their weekly shows? Or do you think, no, it kind of works for them? They need to stay doing what they're doing.
See, the thing is when they start, they weren't filling big arenas with their shows. They were putting on shows in like 12,000 seat arenas with 4,000 people. And that creates a big empty void. So when Tony said that they were going to start promoting shows in, theaters, and even I was like a theater. I thought a theater was kind of odd because, you got a stage. It's not built for wrestling, but he's made it work. So when he said he was getting into the smaller buildings with all that, I think it worked for him. I don't think they should go back to the bigger, because I don't think they would get it. I think they'd still get the same crowd.
I'm going to push back a little bit. when they first came on, maybe for 6 months, maybe a year even, they were filling up these bigger arenas.
In the beginning, yes, but as time went on, no.
Right. So so the question: do you think that they should try to work to get to that point again, or no? They're good where they're at because it makes them so much different than what WWE and other
Everybody should strive to go bigger and better. I mean, if you can. But if the smaller end crowd is working for you and you're filling up the buildings and the people are coming, stick with it. Go with what works. Don't jump back into it because you feel you have to. Right. If they get to the point where the demand is coming where they need to, great. Strive for being bigger. People compare AEW to Raw and SmackDown. I would compare AEW more to the NXT show because NXT does the same thing. They play in smaller buildings and the talent looks good. You put them in a bigger building and you can kind of sign up the production, the talent, you can see is kind of the flaws. So I think presenting in a smaller arena like Tony's doing, I think it makes the product look better.
Yep. Now, as I said, during this match, Big Bill kept on interfering to the point that Swerve Strickland he was over it. Came in, hit Big Bill with a fistful of chain. Leaving Kingman out of page to do his finisher, the clothesline, pinning Brian Keith. After the match, we heard from Hangman, we heard from Swerve, and then Kenny Omega came out basically saying, these are the three, we are the best guys to be going for the title. And do you think we're going for another 4-way match with the U.S. title, except now it's MJF going to be against Hangman, going to be against Swerve, going to be against Kenny Omega, or are they going to have Kenny Omega do what he says that he's going to do, which is earn his way back to the title by beating people? Rob, or no, start with you, Grizzled.
I can see like a 3-way between Hangman and Swerve and Kenny at some point to determine a number 1 contender. I can see that. I don't think we need to do another 4-way. I honestly would love to see Kenny Omega and MJF again. I think that would be great. But if he's wanting to do I gotta beat people and earn my spot, that's even better. Because despite what people say, I'm a Kenny Omega fan.
Right.
I enjoy watching Kenny Omega's matches. When he's on. He's great. So more time I get to see some great wrestling. Awesome.
Yeah. Now, Robbie, what did you think about the whole post-match blah blah between the three?
I mean, you could see it. You see him doing it one or two ways. You can see him going a 3-way with Swerve, Kenny Omega, and Page to see who the number 1 contender is. Or you could see him throwing all 4 of them in there again. I mean, you could see it going either way. It would be kind of cool to see if, Kenny Omega earns his way. But you wonder, bottom line, I'd probably bet. If I had a bet, I'd say they're going to do a 3-way between Page, Swerve, and Omega to see who the number 1 contender is.
Yep. Now we had Hangman and Swerve leave the ring. Thought that'd be the end of that, but it wasn't, because the worst music for the entrance hits, which is Don Callis' music. I hate his intro music. Hate it. Hits, and of course he comes out. He's going back and forth with Kenny Omega. What this ultimately builds up to is a future match between Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander. I'm still on the fence about Josh Alexander, to be honest with you. I really, really am. I don't know how to feel about it. Sometimes I'm like, this guy's really good. Other times I'm like, he's okay. Robbie, is this a match between Kenny Omega versus Josh Alexander? Do you think that this has the potential to be a great match?
Yeah, if both of them connect. But I'm like you. I'm kind of on the fence with Josh. I've seen him, have good matches, seen him have bad matches. Hard to say, is he going to, depending on what kind of Kenny Omega we're going to get, could they, connect with this or whatever. Going to be curious. I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know if it's a match I'm really say, oh, God, dear God, don't let me miss it, but.
Yeah. Grizzled, you said that you're a Kenny Omega fan. I am too. I like Kenny Omega. The question is, being that you're a Kenny Omega fan, is this a match that you want to see Kenny Omega in against Josh Alexander?
I do, but I also agree with Robbie. It's based on if they're going to connect right. You got to have a good dance partner.
Right.
I think Josh Alexander is talented, but like I said, he's had great matches, and he broke Kota Ibushi's leg with a really botched move. So we've seen both sides of it. If Josh Alexander comes in and does what he can do and he clicks with Kenny Omega, I think the night that match happens, we'll be talking about probably the match of the night. And on the flip side of that coin, if it doesn't click, we could be saying, it wasn't as good as it could have been. It can go either way. It just depends on the dance partner.
Right.
If they're both on, it's going to be an amazing match.
Yeah. And there's no doubt. I won't ever argue that about Josh Alexander being talented. He's very talented. There's just some matches that I've seen him in, though, that's just been subpar. So for myself, there's not been enough consistent matches for me to really say that I have absolutely invested in him just yet. Granny Hulkster says, talking about last week, they even showed Granny Hulkster at the beginning of AEW shortly after they introduced Jim Ross. I was totally surprised, and I missed that. I was in Louisiana.
Stream it live. I was streaming on HBO Max.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's really cool. Next, we go to we have Brody King versus Jonathan Cruz. Of course, before that, we've seen a quick backstage segment with those guys. Who is this Jonathan Cruz? Like, he just showed up here. I know he showed up with the MJF. I'm not very familiar with Jonathan Cruz for some reason. Should I be? Grizzled?
I don't think so. I didn't even know who it was. I was, doing a couple other things. I looked at him like, who's he? And then it was over, and I'm like, oh, John Cruz. Okay.
Right. So again, we go to the match. Jonathan Cruz was upset that Brody King and him was going to be fighting because this was a standby match, as they announced. I don't know how I feel about them saying that, by the way. This is a standby match. Like, if you're Brody King, why wouldn't you be upset that you're in a standby match? Basically, what I understand a standby match is a match that basically, if we need to fill more fucking time, we're going to put you in there real quick. I mean,
that's kind of how I take it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Robbie, you're a professional wrestler, man. Obviously, you're going to know if you're going to stand by a match. Is it one thing to know it, and then other thing to hear the announcers and it being put that way on television? Do you think that's embarrassing for a wrestler?
Man, but I mean, here I'm going to piss the vet off. Okay, so it's wrestling, but he's getting paid, so and it's a night off. Right. I mean, really, it was a night off for him, and it gives him exposure on TV. Everybody knows he's going to win, but hey, you went out, had a night off, and and you got paid. So
and how is this going to piss me off? I don't know.
Well, I said it's wrestling, so you don't like that terminology.
I understand it's wrestling. I understand, but I agree with KG. You don't have to tell us it's a standby match. We wouldn't have known.
Right.
We weren't going to have these guys on TV, but let's throw them out there. Okay.
Right. Well,
you don't have to tell us that.
Now, I don't even know this match lasted 45 seconds, to be honest with you. I mean, it started with Jonathan Cruz throwing his shoes at Brody King. Brody King picked this dude up and slammed him. I thought he broke him. I'm like, oh, that was a nasty landing. But you know what? I'm going to be Dave Meltzer for a second. I'm going to say this was a 5-star match.
This is actually one of the first things that I kind of went on after the match, though. Not the match itself, because let Brody squash him. He squashed a friend of mine on Collision last week. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but Barrett Brown didn't last much longer against Brody.
Yeah,
either, so.
and I was surprised because Barrett Brown, he has some size to him, doesn't he?
Well, you saw him on TV, yeah, and I mean he's got a pretty good, record and all that. So, but that's what they kind of tend to use him for is the squash, unfortunately. But
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Next,
wait,
Robbie, let me just skip you. Go ahead.
Wait, this is where I'm kind of coming. I got to say something about this.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys might disagree with me. I don't know. Brody King should not be allowed on a microphone.
Oh, that was
because
I want to bring that up.
I'm going to call it Mike Tyson syndrome. He looks badass, like he's going to kill you. I would not want to mess with that fucker in a fight. And then he gets on the mic. I want to say that my friend Bandito is going to win the title. Thank you very much. His voice is so soft, it doesn't fit. Don't let him be on the mic. It kills that monster image that you get him.
Well, and it's just not that. One, he messed up his line.
Well, that too.
He even paused. But two, something else. Look, when you have a guy like Brody King that looks the way he does, I don't want to see the guy smiling. I don't. I don't want to see him smile. I want to see him constantly look like he wants to kill you. Maybe I'm being too picky. I don't know. But,
No, I agree with you. It doesn't fit the monster image that they're trying to get. He crushes somebody that's out there.
Right.
And that soft voice. As soon as I heard him talking, I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, what? Ew. Don't let him talk.
Yeah.
Let him just be big and mean and ugly. And don't let him talk. I wouldn't believe anything he had to say because his voice is too soft for a guy that size.
Yeah, Robbie, I mean, are we being just too nitpicky, man? Or,
it's wrestling.
When it comes when it comes to professional wrestling, and we're talking about these characters have to be able to deliver. So kind of letting us see inside of the human nature of a character like a Brody King is not something maybe you should really do.
Right. Or you would just tell him to either, because he probably can toughen up your voice or whatever, just oversell it or whatever, yeah, I mean, I have to agree, you're soft spoken, you're laughing, stuff like that. You definitely, you'd have to come off as a badass. I mean, you look the part, just roughen up your voice a little bit more or something there.
Yeah, and for those who may be watching, those who may say that I am too opinionated, an example of that would be look at The Undertaker. For 30 plus years, you didn't see this guy smiling on TV. Although I know that there was this game they played with him that guys, including Vince McMahon, Stone Cold, The Rock even, they tried to break him just because of how damn good he was. But the point is that he never broke because he cared about his image. So that's kind of what I go by with Brody King. He's no Undertaker, but he has that character like the Undertaker did, that these guys can fucking just kill you if they want to. Am I right here?
I agree. Yeah. There was a you brought something to my mind when you mentioned the Undertaker and his image. There was remember when the Slammy Awards was like its own show? Mm-hmm. It wasn't. They had a Best Buns Award. Remember the Best Buns Award? They gave it to the Diva with the
Yep.
And they did a little vignette thing of all these wrestlers talking. And at the end of it, they have the Undertaker with Paul Bearer, and Undertaker goes, "Nice ass." And I watched that going, wow. I don't think like the Undertaker would say something like that. And it's always stuck out at me how odd it sounded to put the Undertaker in the vignette for the Best Buns Award.
Right. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Next match is a 4-way number 1 contender tag team. The Don Callis family, Jake Doyle and Mark Davis, against the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Jet Speed, Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, GOA, Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Toa Lona, with, of course, their guy. Why the fuck can I not remember his name? Keep with
Ricochet.
Ricochet commentary. Now, this was the match was okay. I don't have anything against the match. One of my main issues was, I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but when Mike Bailey was getting pinned, right? There was such a clear shot. The camera was right on him when he lifted his head and he was looking around to make sure that Kevin Knight or whoever it was that was supposed to break that pin up, that they were going to actually break that pin up so that you wouldn't get to that 3 count. It looked terrible. It was a terrible spot with Mike Bailey. Okay. I mean, literally. It was crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? No, man. Terrible. Other than that, I like the match. Jake Doyle and Mark Davis, man, these two guys look incredible together, in my opinion. I already like these guys. They can be a little goofy with their shit, but in the ring, they complement one another. Robbie, start with you, man. Did you notice the spot I'm talking about with Mike Bailey looking around to me? You know, it's like, come on, man, you got to do better than that.
I might have missed it. The thing I noticed in that match, and I can't remember who did it, if it was one of the Gates of Agony guys or Doyle or Davis, they slammed Speedball, and he literally looked like he was hurt.
Yeah.
He was holding his head, and you saw the ref go over to him and everything. That one, I was wondering, is like, oh shit, did he really get hurt? You know, because just the way the ref acted, the way he kind of held himself and everything, he looked like he was literally hurt. It was a good match. I mean, if you like, okay, you're saying that if you watched when should not let, and I like the kid, I like him a lot. Do not let him throw punches is Williams, because if you watched when he was on top doing the punches to the head, they looked horrible. They were absolutely horrible. I was like, please stop throwing them. I'm like, I could get away with it because I'm 64 years old. I have my punch. They can say, that looks bad. Where, but when I was his age, my punch looked good. So
right.
Match was good. I was kind of surprised at the ending, putting those guys over. I figured we'd see the Young Bucks again as the winners, but good match. But yeah, there were some spots in there that, just weren't good.
Right. Real quick, Herb Simmons says, good evening, gentlemen. Mr. Herb, it's always a pleasure when you join us. By the way, speaking of Mr. Herb Simmons, and I'm going to get the dates together, so I want to start promoting it, but there will be a Fan Fest 4, I believe it is. Excited about it. I went last year. It was awesome. I'm looking forward to going to it this year. It's in St. Louis at the Hilton, I believe it still is. It's going to be back there. Looking forward to that. I will have the dates for you guys on our next podcast. Going to you, Grizzled. What'd you think about this match, man?
I liked the match. I thought it was a good match. Once again, I didn't see the spot you were talking about, but I was also getting, my kids ready and telling them, hurry up, get ready, get your bags, get your shoes, all that for school. So I watched it this morning. It was a good match. I'm really impressed, like you said, with, Davis and Doyle. It's still weird for me to say Jake Doyle because I know that it's Jake something from TNA, so that's where I know him from.
Right.
So, but no, in that case, Don Callis actually has something to be proud of because these guys look like legitimate badasses, and I would have no problem seeing them with the tag title run.
Right. I agree, because one thing about them is, they kept on stressing the fact last night, the color commentary, that this is their first match as a tag team together, right? These guys look like they belong together. They don't look like a mismatch. They look like they have always been together as a tag team. They look legit.
They did. I was impressed. But once again, though, my ear picks up. I kept hearing things tonight that my ear kept picking up. And I believe it was Excalibur's comment, or it might have been Shivani, that made the comment that Young Bucks are the only team to have defeated FTR for the tag in this match, to have defeated FTR for the tag titles. I'm like, okay, that's true. But unless I'm wrong, they're the only team who have ever faced FTR for the tag titles. So you could, that one statement just caught my ear, and I'm like, they're the only team that have ever faced FTR for the tag titles. So that's kind of a stupid. I don't know. It just sounded weird. My ear keeps picking up these things last night.
Okay, you have a little loss when you said that they're the only ones that ever faced FTI for the titles. FTR actually, on the last pay-per-view, I think it was, or it may not have been a pay-per-view, but they put the titles up in a street fight against Robbie. You and I did a podcast on that match.
Yeah, that was whatchamacallit, Gunn and
Austin Gunn and
that was the Bang Bang Gang.
Yeah,
they haven't faced any of these other teams in a match yet. They haven't faced Gates of Agony. As far as I know, they haven't faced.
He's just saying that he was saying, and I think it was Excalibur.
Okay.
See, we got lucky and they left Shivani at home last night, so we didn't have to hear him.
Okay.
But because we didn't have to hear him, Tony Khan went, well, let's see. I know Robbie Idol doesn't like Tony Schiavone, so let's piss him off with Don Callis and Ricochet. So, and we'll put Brian Danielson, who's starting to get as bad as Tony Schiavone.
Jesus, man, I cannot handle any. Look, I love Brian. In the ring, I love the guy. I don't want to hear him no more. He's driving me insane. He really is. Now, talking about cue ball, I can never remember his name. Ricochet. He got up, pulled the referee during a pinfall, so the ref would hit that 3 count, and then came, of course, Jungle Boy Jack Perry that Ricochet ran from, chased Ricochet off. And I'm shaking my head because I'm thinking, I know Ricochet is supposed to be the cowardly guy. He's a heel. But come on, it's Jack Perry. I mean, why would you run from Jack Perry? To me,
Ricochet might be the only one that could legitimately run from Jack Perry and make it believable.
Yeah, maybe.
Who else is going to run from Jack Perry?
I mean, you know what? That's a good point, because my point is there's not a world that I can suspend my disbelief where I had Jack Perry being a legit badass. Yeah. Nonetheless, again, Jack Doyle and Mark Davis won that match. After the match, we had FTR out pushing their boy in the wheelchair, which cracks me up all the time. They went into the ring face to face. Next, they're fighting. Chaos breaks out. Security runs out to break them up. It's all over the place to build up for the match. FTR versus Jake Doyle and Mark Davis. This is my only problem. And guys, I'm sorry. I'm an old school wrestler. I like good guy versus bad guy. I don't like heel versus heel. I even prefer babyface versus babyface over heel versus heel for some reason. I don't know. I'm torn about if this is a match I'm looking forward to or not. And I'm going to be honest with you. In our reality, my opinion, although they're a new tag team, just because of just how big these guys are, I think Jack Doyle and Mark Davis should absolutely dominate FTR and win those titles. Robbie?
Yeah, I could see that. And I mean, but I don't have a problem with it, heel versus heel. Could be interesting if you get Stokely out of the wheelchair with both of them, Callis and Stokely. What's going to happen when they both interfere in the match and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting if, because that they're both going to interfere. So you wonder, how is one going to go after the other? The bad part is it's the Don Callis family. So we're going to see, how many umpteen parts of his family coming out in this match,
Yeah. Now, the one thing I will find interesting is, yes, it's going to be heel versus heel, but the fans will decide who that they're going to cheer for. And as much as they don't like FTR's manager, what's his name? Stokely, they hate Don Callis that much more. I think for this one night, this one match, FTR, and believe this or not, Stokely, they're going to be in that babyface position as far as who the fans are rooting to win. Grizzle, your thoughts?
I can totally see that happening because you can't root for the Don Callis family. That's just not possible. I also agree with Robbie, though. I don't have an issue with heel versus heel as long as they don't start doing babyface shit, pop crowd. Kind of like the same thing. I don't mind babyface versus babyface because I want to see him do a good scientific, actual wrestling match. So, I like both sides. I don't want to see two heels going at it and they're doing shit to pop a crowd. That's not so. But in this match, Don Callis family would definitely be the heel in this one. People are going to root for FTR, even though they do have Stokely. It's hard to cheer for that guy. Right. But they're going to have that. They'll be the face in this match just because of who they're facing. And I personally would mind seeing those boys get the titles because they look like a legit badass team, like I said earlier.
Yep, I agree. Next, we go to the Triangle of Madness versus Statlander and Base of Wrath. I don't know if you guys are going to like
this. Are we missing something, or did it happen later?
What's that?
Pac and Darby.
I was wondering, too. I
think you skipped over Pac and Darby.
Maybe, but let's see. I have that later on. I have that match number 5.
Oh, okay. I think it was earlier in the show, actually. But hey,
I thought it was too.
It could have been.
As long as we get to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys had to talk about it right now, we can talk about it if you want.
Well, I wanted to make sure we didn't skip it.
Yeah, no, I have it. I have it right here. Match number 5.
Okay.
For fuck's sake.
Hey, as much as the vet's a Darby Allin fan, he'd be upset if we're not going to talk about it.
Well, no, I have a point I'd like to make about that match. But,
I think a lot of us are going to have some points.
Regardless of being a Darby fan, there's a point I'd like to make. So.
We'll get to that in a second. And no, because I wanted to talk about that because there's this one spot that I was like, my fucking God.
Oh, I think we're on the same boat here.
Right. Well, but let's get to Triangle of Madness versus Statlander and Babes of Wrath. And what I was going to say, guys, and you guys may disagree. You guys may actually say, you know what? You're fired as the host, Kevin. But Babes of Wrath, I have gone from not caring for them to absolutely not liking them whatsoever. Because your girl, Harley Cameron, looks fucking lost as I'll get out. During their entrance, you can literally watch her watching Willow Nightingale to, okay, I'm supposed to kick now. Let's kick. I'm supposed to dance now. Let's dance. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I want these ladies to drop the fucking tag team belts and to have Cameron go back to being a singles competitor and let Willow Nightingale go back to being the singles competitor who's now a fucking singles champion as well. Drop the goddamn titles off them. Babes of Wrath, it's not fucking working, guys. Grizzled.
I don't think I'm going to go quite as extreme as that, but I will agree. Harley is new. Harley is still, she's green, and I can't say a lot about that because I have never been in a ring in my life. So, but she's new. She's still.
I'm not talking about her wrestling ability.
And yes, well, no, but I'm saying though, your entryway and the way you present yourself is part of that. She's still new. And Babes of Wrath, we know we're a team that, because that tournament was just a bunch of slapped together women, and then all of a sudden they formed Babes of Wrath, and now you're supposed to, who are we, babes? What do we want, Wrath? And you're supposed to clap for them and cheer for them.
But Grizzled, let me stop you real quick.
They kind of made you.
Let me stop you real quick. Based upon you just said that they just kind of threw them together because they were having this whole tag team tournament thing, right? Wouldn't it have made more sense to put the title on someone like the Triangle of Madness? Someone that they look like they are. What's that?
Timeless Love Bomb? Yeah.
Or Timeless. No, I don't like them either. Fuck that. They're too cheesy. No. But Triangle of Madness or what is the other two's name?
Megan and Marina.
Yeah, Megan. Like at least put it on a team that looks like they're a fucking team. Babes
right, but you saw in that tournament though. You saw in the tournament though that the fans took to Harley and Willow. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they weren't the original winners of the tournament.
Right.
But then when Tony saw the crowd reaction, because then all of a sudden they became Babes of Wrath. They didn't have that team name at first.
Right.
As they built up and people, I think Tony might have went, holy shit, the crowd's really into this. Okay, we're going to come up with a cool name for you, and we're going to put the belts on you. I wouldn't be surprised if that was kind of a last-minute decision based on the popularity of them.
Yeah, but for the love of me, guys.
But I prefer Willow as the singles. Willow's my girl. I love Willow.
For the love of me, I don't understand why any promoter would go with what the internet wrestling community would fucking want, or these fans, because these fans are so fucking fickle.
Because the fans have the money that buy the tickets.
The fans are still going to buy the tickets. We've seen a lot of bad professional wrestling over the past couple of years.
Oh, I know they're still going to buy the tickets, but that's why he listens to the fans, is the fans are the ones buying the tickets. And he wants, if they're cheering for Babes of Wrath, the Babes of Wrath are going to be the champions.
Robbie, am I the lone goat here, man? Am I the,
Nah, Robbie's going to agree with you and make me look like an asshole.
No. I like them. I mean, yeah, she might have been lost a little bit on the entrance and stuff. And I was gonna make a point. And you're gonna go, "Wow, really? I got him as a co-host here." But
I think that every night. Yeah.
Who does Hart? To me, they both. You could compare them. You're gonna come. Who would you compare Harley to on WWE? But she has taken off where the other one has kind of just where Harley looks good at a lot of her spots and stuff. She has improved, and she is pulling the stuff off where they gave her the ball and ran with it.
Maxine
call it Harley of Maxine Dupree.
Maxine Dupree.
Yes, and it's.
I knew it.
But Harley has taken it and ran with it where, Maxine dropped the ball. Yeah, maybe because she looked a little lost in the entrance, but she's pulling stuff off in the ring, and she's not looking lost and stuff like that.
I agree. That's why I said I want her to go back to being a singles competitor. I'm not saying to get rid of the lady.
No, I know.
Her to go back to being a singles wrestler because her and Willow just don't do it for me. Now, as singles, I love them both as singles. I really do. Tag team, not working for me.
But it's kind of Bailey-ish, the early stages of Bailey. I'll give you that. The one I don't see the hype in her. Maybe somebody fill me in where I'm missing it, is Tekla. I could do without Tekla. I don't see the hype.
Yeah.
Tekla's another one of those in the, as I'm going to put it, the Julia, the Stephanie Vaquer thing. She was an indie whatever that everybody liked. So they brought her on to the main TV, and she doesn't, because I don't get much out of Julia. Julia is, she's talented, but she's overhyped because she was the big thing on the indies. Like a couple years ago when a few years back when Cody Rhodes was doing the Open Challenge, and they brought in Warhorse because Warhorse was the hottest thing on the fucking indie scene at that time. Where's he been lately? It's that case. And Tekla's kind of that. She's one of those indie ones that everybody talks about. So, of course, Tony, let's get her.
Yeah. Yep. Next, we go to the match that, Grizzled wanted to make sure we talked about.
Well, I thought we skipped it. God damn it. I was making sure. I'm making sure to give our audience the best review we can.
Yeah. Darby Allin versus Pac. One thing that made me laugh about this was how they kept on pushing how important it was for Darby Allin to win so he could say he's beaten everybody in the, Death Riders. Are we fucking 12 years old here? That was aggravating me a little bit. The match itself was a brutal match. I mean, the spot where Pac tossed Darby into the freaking stairs, that goes into the ring. I'm like, oh my God, is this kid alive? Did he bring his back? Is he going to be in a wheelchair now? What the fuck? I don't think Darby's made of regular human parts. I just don't. There's just no way. Grizzle, start with you, man.
I'm with you. I thought the match was good, but when you got Pac and Darby on there, but that spot with the stairs, this is what I wanted to kind of bring up. I saw, and as soon as I saw that, I went, oh, because you're right. Darby's got to be, his bones have got to be made of like jelly and rubber.
Yeah,
he just kind of formed it. But the thing that bugged me though is because just about a week or two ago, William Regal put up that post about neck injuries and paralyzing yourself and hurting yourself. And the wrestling world jumped on that bandwagon. Not just fans, but wrestlers. He's right. You need to protect yourself. And then they do a spot like that, which totally just, fuck what Regal had to say. We're going to do this shit. Guys, you can't be going, oh, Regal's right. Regal's so smart what he says. Now I'm going to powerbomb you on a set of stairs.
Right.
No. And in the wake of that post, I would not have done a spot like that. I would stay away from spots like that in general. But in the wake of everybody talking about how great it was for Regal to come forward and how truthful he was, to do that spot's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah, Terry says the spot hurt around the world. Holy shit. I hated the ending of this match. I don't mind that Darby won. It is believable. Darby may be small, but the thing that makes it believable, him beating guys that are bigger than him versus even if it's height or muscular, is because he's the kid that you just can't beat down. I mean, he has no pain level, right? So I don't mind that he beat Pac. What I hate is that they had Pac tap out. I don't know why. I don't like Pac being a guy that there's tap out. You know, Dean Ambrose or whatever they call him in AEW, Moxley. Him tapping out doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. Most of these other guys tapping out doesn't bother me. But Pac, I don't want to see him tap out. Robbie, you understand where I'm coming from? Like, kind of get that there's something about Pac or tapping out is just never believable.
Yeah, but the way they set it up to do it, I mean, I get your point, but like him doing the coffin drop on the chair off the top and stuff like that to get him to tap out. I mean, I mean, you knew Darby with the way they kept going, oh, Darby he's got to beat Pac and this and that. So you knew who was winning. But yeah, the power bomb into the stairs, and then he got thrown on the stage on his back and stuff. I mean, yeah, Darby's not human. I mean, especially after the stair one and then getting tossed like that afterwards. I mean, a regular guy, you'd be hurting. I mean, got cringed on both those spots, I was like, that's insane, and he probably, and did some other crazy stuff, during the match and stuff like that. Right.
Let's talk about the Death Riders for a second. Something that I'm like, what's going on here? So we seen at the last AEW pay-per-view that Moxley pretty much did a face turn during this tournament when he won it, right? I think he's wrestled one match since that. I don't remember seeing him back on TV. Maybe he's on TV last week. I don't know. I missed AEW because all the shit's happened to my family. But it almost seems like they forgot that, we had Mox, who was the leader, by the way, of the Death Riders, who are absolute heels. We had him turn face, but we're just going to leave it at that. And the Death Riders are going to stay heel with a leader that's a baby face. Not going to expand the storyline where the rest of the guys turn on Moxley. I understand about slow burns, guys, but they haven't even addressed it at all whatsoever. What the fuck's going on here? Robbie, go with you first.
Okay, so he was at the commentary booth, and Moxley and Schiavone together, you couldn't have had a more horrible group to talk on the mic. But the same, he kind of came across the way he was talking, like that baby face, and then he kind of tried to throw some heel stuff in. Trying to think I want to say it might have been Garcia who worked, and I don't remember who he worked because I'm not a Garcia fan, so the kid might be from my hometown, but I'm not a fan of him. Definitely when he doesn't know how to hit a double bicep to begin with and stuff. So, but yeah, the Moxley thing it's strange because like at one moment you had Moxley and Shivani like buddy, and then the next thing he's here's Moxley trying to be this badass talking about his team, and then back to it was like a back and forth thing. It was just kind of strange.
Yeah, what about you, Grizzled? I mean, is it one of those things that's not a big deal, or or do you feel like, oh, once again, this is AEW, Tony Khan, they are starting something on a pay-per-view, and then they just drop the ball and forget about it, don't follow through?
I'm going with the follow through. You saw signs of Moxley kind of going face. He wins this tournament though. He's a Continental champion. Death Riders are still doing their thing. It seems to me like Claudio is becoming more of the leader of the Death Riders than anything else. But I could just easily see Moxley just kind of becoming a face, and they just go with it. He's a face now. He's not part of the Death Riders with no explanation. At least give us a Death Riders beat down where they beat him up or something. Give us something. But I could easily see Moxley just all of a sudden coming out by himself with no Marina, no nothing.
You want to talk about a storyline that they can capitalize on that would make sense, would be Moxley turns face, Death Riders give him a beatdown, especially Claudio, because as you said, I agree, Claudio is now kind of taking Moxley's spot, and now we're going to have this storyline, this feud between Moxley and Claudio, which again would make sense because guess who Moxley cannot beat? Guess who Moxley couldn't beat during the tournament? Claudio.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But now Moxley has this title. Oh my gosh. Will Moxley drop this title to Claudio?
Claudio has the title, so who cares?
So
everybody has the title.
Yeah. Who knows? Next, we go to the main event. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't expecting much for this match. I wasn't. And boy, was I wrong. I enjoyed this match. MJF versus Bandito.
You skipped a segment. You skipped a promo.
Did I?
Yes. Don't forget, on Collision, we're going to have Hangman and Just Speed versus the Ops for the Trios title. Because they had the whole thing where Swerve came in, told them, hey, you guys are doing great. Can't wait this. And then Hangman came in and said, I want to be partners with you, blah, blah, blah. And now with the headline coming out, it's looking like Hobbs is going to WWE. There's an interest. I have a strange feeling that Hangman and Jet Speed have won the trio. I can say have won because the show was taped. I have not seen results, but I'm going to go with Hangman and Jet Speed won the trio title just because of Hobbs possibly going to do it because he's a free agent as of today.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So I've kind of heard rumbles about it. I've been busy today. I wasn't able to go into it. Talk to me about it. What's going on with it?
With Hobbs?
Yeah.
From what I've read, WWE is interested. He has not signed a contract with AEW. So at this point in time, he is a free agent. He's able to go, and there wouldn't be a no compete because his contract ended. So he's free to go. I mean, he could be on Raw. Well, not next week because obviously they're in, Germany or Belfast or wherever they're Ireland. Yeah. But he could go. He can go if he wants now. There's no compete. There's no wait. There's no nothing. He is a free agent right now. And I think, like I said, I believe the Ops are going to lose. And if they do, I think that's the sign that, okay, Hobbs is leaving.
I'm going to be honest with you. Total honesty. I think Hobbs would be better off if he stayed with AEW.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to go to the WWE at some point. That's still the, when Robbie was wrestling, he had that, I want to go to New York. That's everybody's top goal in wrestling. I don't care who you are.
See, but the difference when I was wrestling and I got the shot to do a shot with them.
Yeah.
Did you forget about it in the book? They were very unorganized.
Well, but I'm just saying it's still the goal of everyone. They want to go to WWF.
So, I mean, but it's at that period of time in '89 to compare, maybe they still were outdrawing us or whatever because you had Hogan and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But as far as like the organization, the structure and stuff like that, I was happy being in WCW.
Well, I can see that. I'm just saying it's that wrestler mindset.
Right, but now
their goal is, when they first start, they want to go to WWF.
But this is what's crazy. But guys, this is what's crazy to me about that, though, and what I don't understand. Yes, I know that WWE is the big dog, right? They are the creme of the crop. But what I don't understand is this. Ultimately, I would think your goal would be is to be where you can make the most money. Right now, back in the day, it was WWE. AEW might not be as big as WWE, but Tony Khan's pockets is pretty goddamn deep. And from what I've been told, their top talent there is making more than some of the top talent at WWE. So if that is the case, right? If that is really true, what the fuck does it matter about WWE as long as you're making the fucking money? And again, Hobbs was being pushed on TV. I will guarantee you that he goes, he's going to be at NXT. So maybe while he's on NXT, he might be featured. But the day he goes to, if he makes it to the main roster, he's going to get fucking lost. He's going to be in catering.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So me, I get it. Just for namesake, I was with WWE. But the name itself is not paying your fucking bills. It's the money you're fucking making. And if AEW is paying just as much, I don't understand that fascination.
Well, and also what I've also heard, though, is that AEW pays for your hotel and your travel.
Yes, that's true.
And, WWE doesn't do that. I mean, probably the big stars, they do. But, I totally agree with you, KG. I think he goes over there and the day he gets brought up to the main roster, he's a forgotten soul. I mean, look what's happening to
Ricky Sable,
Mariah May.
Mariah May,
and she's only in NXT,
right?
Right.
Something else too. You were talking about how AEW will pay for their hotels. I've heard that as well. Something else that wrestlers have reported is that when they've had to be in the hospital or even have had to have surgery, there's been a couple of wrestlers that's reported that Tony Khan actually said, we got the bill.
Well, that's because, like you said, Tony Khan has some deep pockets.
Yeah, but so does WWE with that.
But that's the whole point, though. If you're getting taken care of, what the fuck does it matter to have WWE on your resume now these days, right? I can understand 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where the money's with WWE, but that's not the case anymore.
I still think WWE, though, for a lot of these younger guys, is like, because you're saying the money. Okay, there's the money, but does AEW go to Ireland, Germany?
Yes.
No. They've been to England.
They've been to England. They've been to Australia,
but they don't. It's not as common for WWE to go on these European tours. It's common.
But you also have the chance to go to Japan because of their deal, aren't they? With like New Japan,
they are, and AEW will allow you to go and wrestle wherever you want to go wrestle, even if you're under contract. Obviously, not with the WWE, obviously. But if you want to go to Japan or go anywhere else with the indie, to show up, to build your product, to build your name, they've been allowing their people to do it. Now, I agree with Bob Cook said about that. He thinks it's stupid that these guys do it because you're risking being injured, but at the same time, there's more freedom. So basically, from what I'm taking out of this, Grizzle, that it's really not about the money. It's about the clout. It's about, and to me, I cannot wrap my head around it. I can't. Because
these younger guys, that's what it is. That's the goal, is to go to WWE. It's still that way. Right. I don't think you ask most indie wrestlers, go to an indie show, say, hey, what's your goal? Where do you want to go? You're going to get a few that say something different, but everybody's going to say everybody wants to go to WWE. You might get one or two that go, I want to go to AEW. Okay. But, it's still WWE, and that's But no, I agree with you. Powerhouse Hobbs is better off in AEW. A lot of them are.
Put it this way.
But can I throw one thing out there real quick?
But
okay, when you and I'm going to disagree with Cook, like saying, well, you're taking that chance. You take a chance of getting hurt, no matter WWE ring, whatever. Every time you step into the ring, you take a chance of getting hurt.
Yeah.
I think Bob's point. I think Bob's point was. I think Bob's point was, when you're going to an indie company after you already made it big, you're risking getting hurt for peanuts and messing up your career with the actual company that you're making your money.
That's what I was going to say. Well, you blow your knee at an indie show, you ain't wrestling for AEW now.
Right, but you bring those guys in, you know that you've got a price. So your price is way higher than everybody else. I mean, it's all a catch-22.
Yeah. But going back to the company, look, I'm being completely honest. If TNA, right, and I'm saying TNA because TNA, they may pass up AEW, but they haven't yet. They're the number 3 guys. If the number 3 guys came to me right now and say, hey, you know what? We want to 2 days a week, your podcast, only TNA shit. We're paying you X amount. And then WWE says, you know what? We actually want you for just about the same amount, but you need to work 6 days a week. Man, I don't give a fuck about name recognition as far as WWE or TNA. I'd be like, I'm making the same money with TNA working 2 days a week versus having to work 6 days a week. I'm picking fucking 2 days a week with TNA. I can't wrap my mind around people caring that much about the clout of saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we have to work harder for our money. We're with WWE. That's crazy to me. It really is. That's crazy talk. I don't get it.
It does sound a little odd, but it's still I think it's still the norm.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a lazy son of a bitch. I want to make it easily possible. Back to the main event, MJF versus Bandito. I thought it was a good match. I don't think anyone expected Bandito to actually win this match. My favorite part was after the match. MJF kind of started giving a face promo, talking about, Bandito, I never thought that you never had a chance to win the title, but I was wrong. I think you will be a champion one day. And this is why I got to beat your fucking ass after the match and try to end your career, because I'm not giving up my title to you, you son of a bitch. And then, of course, he went to take off the mask, and lo and behold, Brody King rushed in. I'm going to lie, and I'm just a heel guy. I am. I love Brody King as a heel. He doesn't look like a good face to me. I was hoping that he ran in to beat the living snot out of Brody King. It would have made sense. I get it. But that's still what I was hoping for, because I love me a good fucking heel, especially a scary looking heel. Right now, Brody King's the guy that if I ran into him in a dark alley and he was pissed off at me, I give him tickles to make him laugh. A heel Brody King pissed off at me, ran, into him in an alley, I'm running. I like a heel Brody King. That's just me, though. Robbie, what you think about this match and the after?
I liked it. I mean, good match. It was a good match, and there was a couple parts that you went, are they really taking the belt off of MJF this quick or whatever? I mean, just, they had some good false finishes and stuff. Match was good. You knew when MJF started beating the hell out of him out of the end and going to go for the mask, you knew Brody King was coming in. You had that sense about it. It was like, yeah, he's coming. Could have did without, like, they should have. The ideal thing that would have been kind of cool, maybe you disagree, is have MJF grab the mask off of him and him hide his face.
Right.
That would have been more of a better ending than having Brody King run out there. Yeah. And then if you did have Brody King run out there, like help cover his face up, get him back to the, back to the locker room and stuff, that just would have kicked MJF more as a heel, more people pissed off at him and stuff like that.
Right. Let me ask you both guys a question, and then Grizzle, we'll get your thoughts about this match. And maybe it's I'm getting old, guys. I'm 53 years old. I have a fucked up back, so at times I take medication that fucks with my memory. But am I wrong here that normally doing a match, it's normally the baby face that's getting their ass kicked the majority of the match so that they can have their big comeback, even if they're going to lose that match? The babyface normally gets their ass kicked the majority of the time of the match. Last night, we seen MJF, who was clearly the heel of this match. He's the one that was getting his ass kicked the majority of this match. Robbie, you're the guy that you're an in-ring performer, you're a professional wrestler. Is this just a standard within professional wrestling that, yeah, that's the way it went, but it really, it doesn't matter type of a thing? Or is it one of those things that, yeah, it's kind of weird seeing the heel getting his ass kicked the majority of the match versus the babyface?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was the way we did it back in the day, if you're going to say it. Yeah, you had your heel, and then Baby came, made his big comeback, and either the heel cheated to win, whatever. But yeah, it was. You kind of wonder on some of it that they seem to, give, like, even to me, like if you got the big guy and the small guy, they just seem to give the small guy way too much, where you see the bigger guy getting his ass beat in there. But that just seems to be the norm now.
Right. Grizzle?
What were we talking about?
How can you say that you are now gotten bored with a podcast without saying that you're fucking bored with a podcast?
I'm not saying I got bored with the podcast. I had something else going on over here for a second. I was
that's fine. We're talking about that normally in a match. You always
see... Oh, yes, the babyface thing. Yeah, no. It's you normally wouldn't see that because you want to see the babyface, make the big comeback and all that. If the babyface is on top, there's no comeback. Everybody wants to see a babyface comeback, not a heel comeback.
Right. Now,
I agree with you. I apologize for that. Like I said,
so, what was your thoughts on this match? And especially, I said that I noticed when I said I really love the end. You kind of made a face, so I don't know what that face was. Yeah, like a 2 or a face of, I really didn't like it. Talk to me.
Well, the reason why I made the face was because you said you thought kind of a baby face thing. As soon as he started talking, you're gonna be a champion. I was waiting because I followed MJF from even when he was in MLW. I knew, okay, where's the swerve? Where's it coming from? Where's the comeback? So I never went for that part. I agree with Robbie. I would have liked to have seen him, get the mask and then Brody comes out to cover him up or something like that instead of the way they did it. But as far as MJF, you're going to be a champion. I knew. I'm like, no. Okay, here it is. So that's why when you said you were almost expecting a baby, I'm like, no.
Yeah. No. I wasn't expecting him to be a babyface. I said he was giving a babyface like promo at first.
Yeah, but he's done that before.
Yeah, I was expecting something to happen. Yeah, I was definitely expecting something to happen.
No, as far as the match goes, though, this was match of the night for me. I thought, this is a great match. And I got to give respect to that referee because the spot where they kept reversing the pin and that poor referee's down there. One. He didn't miss a beat. He caught every pinfall, even if it was a 1. That man kept up with them, and that was some shit right there. I lost count of who was getting pinned after a couple seconds, but that referee kept up with it. So I got props to that referee. He kept up with these guys that entire match, and this match was just off the chain. They were just going. There was no slowdowns. Oh, we're gonna put you in a headlock for 10 minutes. No. They were going from the beginning. So that referee got my respect for the match, especially that false finish spot where I think there's 8 or 9 pinfalls or whatever to try to pin in a row.
Right. Right.
But great match. Great match.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and that wraps up AEW's Dynamite. Will you guys be watching on Saturday Collision? It seems like they're trying to build Collision up again to make it big. They're having Hangman Adam Page and Jet Speed for the Trios Championship. Is this something that intrigues you guys enough to click on Collision and watch?
Well, for me, I get home around 10:30 after I get off work. Not much else on TV. We'll watch Saturday Night Live. I still want to relax, watch something. I always turn on Collision. Regardless of what the card is, I'll turn it on. And since we don't have to review it, I don't want to watch this shit. Fast forward. Okay, what's this match? Okay, I'll watch this one, So I don't have to watch all of Collision, but I usually do. I mean,
Right.
but for me, it's just because it's something on. It's my unwind time. In fact, after this show is over, I'm going to be going out and watching TNA's debut on, AMC tonight. So it's going on right now as we speak.
Yeah. What about you, Robbie?
I'm like that. Just I'll watch it the next day. So it just and same thing. I have to review it. So if I don't like what's going on, I'll fast forward. But it doesn't. The whole card looks like it'll be pretty decent. So it'll be worth a check. Definitely checking it out.
You guys
most of the time I fast forward through promos. I don't want to listen to them talk.
Well, it depends on who the promos are. They're once in a while.
Don Callis is definitely.
Do you guys mind going a couple more minutes? There's a couple of things I want to talk about.
That's good because I don't have a history segment tonight.
Okay.
I've been wanting to talk last year, 2025, but we're halfway through January now, so forget it.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. So there are rumors right now circling that Karrion Kross is actually going to be making his comeback to WWE at the Royal Rumble. Grizzled Vet, have you heard about these rumblings, and do you think that this is more rumored or more true?
I have not heard anything like factual based. I've heard like people, what if blah blah. So I haven't read anything, like hard copy on it. I don't think it's the right thing. I think Karrion Kross should do what Matt Cardona did. Go out to the indies, reinvent himself, create himself, make a name for himself, make some money, and in a couple of years maybe go back.
Yeah. Robbie, what about you? Do you think this is more rumor or more factual?
I'd say I'd have to go rumor, but if I agree with Vet on that, but I guess there was rumblings when they let him go. Some of the fans, but you go back to the fans again, they're just, piss and moan when he was there. And now that he's gone, they released him, then pissed him out, so I don't know. I haven't seen anything or heard anything about him, coming back.
Right. Now, as far as I go with this, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't give a rat's ass, and I will tell you why. I like Karrion Kross. I think it'd be a fool to go back to WWE. Now, if he does, I understand why. Money's money, right? Sitting on your couch, you're not making fucking money. So I get it. And so it's easy for me to say that he'd be a fool to go back. But the reason why I do say that is because how many times we have seen him go back now and WWE just shits on him. I think he's an incredible talent. I think there's so much that this guy can do, and they don't use him. Why we haven't seen him in AEW, I don't know. I don't understand. I wish I worked or at least knew someone in AEW that works behind the scenes to explain to me, all of the freaking all of the professional wrestlers that AEW has brought in, that you scratch your head like, why the fuck are you bringing this person in? But yet you have a talent like Karrion Kross out there that you haven't brought in. I don't know. That kind of boggles my brain a little bit.
Maybe Karrion Kross doesn't want to come in yet.
Yeah, and that could be it too. That's what I'm saying. That's why I would like to know.
Indie
what's
money,
going
man.
on.
He can write his own check right now.
True. In other news, we all know that Matt Cardona signed back with WWE, which as long as he's there as Matt Cardona, that's fine. But if they bring him back as fucking the Ice-T, Roll Island, whatever the fuck his name is.
But no, I want to see at the Royal Rumble both of them. I want Matt Cardona. I want him to do the Mick Foley thing. One
you know
night.
What? I will give you that. That would be entertaining.
That's all I want to see.
But after that, I want to see the Matt Cardona we've been seeing on the indie scene. The guy that is hardcore, that will do whatever it takes. That's the guy I want to see. But I really wasn't trying to talk to him. I'm just talking about him with this news. This is old news. The actual news is Nick Nemeth has decided to re-sign with TNA. Now, Robbie, you and I were just talking about that. Would Nick Nemeth go back to WWE or would he stay with TNA? He re-signed with TNA, and I think that is a good move on his part because he's kind of a big dog on TNA. He really is. You go back to WWE, he's going to go back to being the guy getting the younger talent over. Do you think that's the right move, Robbie?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we don't know if WWE was offering him a contract or not. So, obviously, if no one else is offering a contract, it's the right move. But let's say WWE, he had an option to go back to WWE. Do you think signing with TNA was the right move, or should he have waited for something with WWE if possible?
No, I think staying at TNA because he's the big dog. You go back to WWE, you're just, like you said, you're putting younger talent over. You're lost on the roster. So at least in, TNA, you're the big shot,
Right. Grizzled?
I think he's good right where he's at. Because like you said, there he's still a star. I'm sure he'll be on the show tonight. They're going to build him, so I think it's the right spot. If he went back to WWE, he'd get the spot for a bit. Right. But then I'd see him going right back to what he was doing, where they'd have a new guy they would face, Dolph Ziggler or whoever. Unfortunately, I can see Matt Cardona going the same way too, though. So,
yeah.
But another interesting piece of news, though, we're talking about guys going around. The Rascals.
Yes,
they were signed to AEW.
Time out for a second. Okay. Who's running this goddamn podcast?
Hey, I'm just bringing something up. You're talking about.
I was getting to that, man. I was getting to that. Sorry. But you know what? Because I don't have a big ego. Because I don't care that it's my podcast. Go ahead and take it, Grizzle.
But I'm the history guy here, so this is kind of a moment.
And I love having you in. I had to give you shit. I don't care who's doing what. Go ahead and take it.
You talk about nickname. But yeah, no, they signed the Rascals. Myron Reed, one of the Rascals, was booked to race the Leon Slater on their AMC debut tonight. So it's not like something that had happened, beforehand. No, he was booked to wrestle tonight. And Tony Khan went, and then went, yeah, let's do it. So I don't know who Leon Slater's facing tonight, but I found that kind of interesting that it's kind of like a little shot that Tony took and went, let's make an offer. And he got it. Small shot. I mean, it's just the Rascals, but still, I think that's kind of an interesting acquisition, being it's right at the time that their show is debuting.
Yep. And I want to talk about TNA and WWE in a second after we talk about what I'm about to bring up, because Robbie and I had a discussion. You weren't with us, and I want to bring you in on this discussion because I love your takes on stuff, Grizzle. Okay. But before we do that, so apparently, as of Pro Wrestling News, the decision to put the title on Drew McIntyre was a last-minute decision, and they have scraped their original plans for WrestleMania. One of the nights made of it, which is going back to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. They don't say why. They're just saying WWE now has other plans. So we're going to do the what ifs, guys. So those who are going to listen to this podcast, we are not saying that we're right. We're talking about the what ifs or the possible whys, right? Because it's fun. That's why we're going to do it. Grizzled, in your mind, you hear this.
Okay.
Why would you think creative or whoever made that decision would decide at the last minute to take that belt off of Cody, put it on Drew McIntyre, and scrape your plans for your one of the main events being Cody Rhodes against Roman Reigns? They were going to build based upon what happened a few weeks ago with Reigns telling CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, basically, I'm coming from the belt back, right? They were going to build on that. Apparently, they said, nope, never mind. Why do you think they would, what's going on here?
So, that's kind of interesting based on something I had read on one of the boards earlier today, was that there's rumor that creative plan is for Roman to take the belt off of Drew so that Cody goes after Roman again to get his belt back. So it doesn't scrap the Mania plan.
Right.
It's just a different road for Cody to, get a shot at it. Now, do I agree with the way they're doing it? No. Unlike you, like you said, I told you guys, don't read the message boards. There's a fucking spoiler, because I knew that Drew won the belt before the show aired here in the States, because they didn't even put spoiler. They just literally had a graphic
of it.
Drew McIntyre win. I'm like, well, shit. Because I would have been shocked to see that. I was not. None of us were expecting Drew to win.
And I appreciate you throwing it out there, because I made sure I avoided social media as much as I could, because I didn't want it spoiled for me. And although I am not a big Drew fan, I like Drew as a heel, though. I'm more of a fan of him right now than I am when he's a face. And Cody Rhodes, it depends on the night for me with him. I was surprised that Drew won this. And because I thought there's no way that they're taking this off of Cody. We're this close to WrestleMania, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you that not many people like being wrong. I'm human. I'm one of them, except when it comes to professional wrestling. I love being wrong with professional wrestling, because if I'm wrong,
when you're wrong, you're surprised.
That means I'm shocked. Absolutely. And it's great. Absolutely great. It is interesting, though, and I do find that interesting that you said that you read something basically totally, opposite from what I read. And this is why I tell fans all the time that, we're not saying that this is for 100%, because there's so many different things out there in professional wrestling. A lot of it is just a matter of opinion. Robbie, go to you, man. Why would you think that they would decide to scrap their plans this close to WrestleMania and take the belt off of Cody and put it on a Drew McIntyre? Is there a possibility that somebody crossed the line and getting punished, maybe?
Possible. I mean, I can't imagine Cody,
I know, right?
Cody screwing up. I mean, because he kind of just comes off as that choir boy.
Right.
Hard for me to say. I mean, I can't say either way because I never met the kid. But that's the way he kind of seems, he's just, very professional and stuff like that. So, but I kind of saw something on social media. I didn't look into it, but they said this is the reason why why Cody lost. I just figured social media, everybody's going to throw their 2 cents out there. So,
right.
And it made it sound like he did something to cross a line or whatever.
Yep. Last topic. So, Grizzle, Rob and I were talking about TNA getting their deal with whatever TV channel they're going to be on now. AMC, right? And we were talking about, WWE has been working with TNA, but man, it kind of seems like they're kind of, let's be honest, they're kind of trying to fuck TNA in the fact that it seems like anytime TNA has the top talent that's reached a certain point, WWE saying, I'm sorry, TNA, bloop, he's now ours. How much do you think WWE is truly trying to help TNA? Because look, a lot of people think that WWE actually owns TNA. They do not own TNA. They're 2 separate promotions. They're just working together. How much
TNA still owned by Anthem?
Yeah, how much is WWE really trying to help these guys, man? Because they keep on taking their top talent and bringing them to NXT and keeping them at NXT?
See, I don't know, because this weekend in Garland's, the Curtis Cole, they're doing TNA Genesis, and the big advertisement is Joe Hendry's going to appear. Joe Hendry has now signed so he's going back to do a thing. Tonight on AMC, AJ Styles is on the show. So they're still doing trades. So I don't know. Yeah, they're plucking talent, but they're still sending talent over to do appearances. Now, I don't know what AJ's doing tonight. I don't know what Joe Hendry's doing on Saturday, but I know those are two big advertising points for tonight and for Saturday is the thing. So
yeah, I mean, and I get that, but if it ever gets to the point that say TNA pisses WWE off or WWE pisses TNA off, like, you know what, we're not working with you guys no more. Now TNA's kind of in a situation that WWE has your guys.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like I said, I don't know. It's a really weird, because for a while, yeah, everybody was going back and forth. Hardy faced Dark State, and Jordan Grace was there, but she was still in TNA. But yeah, no, they're plucking people. But like I said, they're still sending. I don't know. I'm getting kind of odd signals about it.
This reminds me kind of the whole ECW thing. When, no one really knew that Paul Heyman, when he had ECW, was working with WWE, and, kind of their talent was being trained at ECW and then eventually going to WWE. Paul Heyman knew about it. He was helping WWE. It almost seems like this is what's happening with TNA, that does WWE own a certain percentage of TNA that we just don't know about, and they're like kind of their NXT 2.0, but more of a main roster type deal?
Possible, because there's the TNA deal, there's the AAA deal, they're going to have a Japan deal here eventually with somebody. They seem to be kind of getting their forks and their nails and everything. So like I said, I don't know. I'm following it because right now is a very interesting kind of developments going on. So I've been following it, but I can't pinpoint or say for sure what's going on because there is still talent exchange.
Right.
I mean, as much talent as Joe Hendry could be considered in Texas, but it's a selling point. But AJ Styles on their debut show, he's going into his retirement tour. His retirement year has to have a TNA match in it. He has to go back one night to wrestle in TNA.
Yeah, I think he should finish his career in TNA, just because of, that's kind of where he came from. But this is the thing. Now, look, we know that it wasn't like TNA wasn't on TV at all. They were on TV.
As much as
kind of, but this is the question that I'm leading to. Do you think that TNA is going to be able to pass AEW and become the number 2 show?
Anything's possible. I mean, with AMC, it depends on what the numbers are. They have a streaming app because AMC Plus has already said they'll be streaming. So, you might get some pay-per-view mix in there if the shows go well. Right now, AEW is kind of up in the air because nobody knows where Warner Brothers is going right now. They could go, their TV deal could go belly up in the next few months. We don't know. There's a lot of variables going on right now.
I don't know if this is possible or not, because I know that Saturday Night Main Event is still on Peacock. Right?
And so SmackDown.
So does that mean that WWE owns the rights as far as like, nope, no other wrestling program could be on your network? Because AEW on a Peacock would be a good move for Peacock. But I don't know if Peacock would, to me, that would be crazy to have WWE have that much control over your streaming service.
Okay. I don't think WWE has that much control on the Peacock thing because, one, their library is gone. We've now heard over the time we were off that Netflix has now got that library, and I think that is an amazing acquisition, by the way. That's going to be just stellar crazy as far as...
but there's one problem with that. I've already noticed in the library that there's episodes that you're starting to see saying leaving soon.
What's that?
Some of WWE stuff, right?
Okay.
Their library, their older shit that we all
Okay.
love.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to see it on Netflix. When you go to it, it says leaving soon. In other words, you better watch it because it's going away.
I haven't seen that yet. I do know that, like I said, they just signed the deal where Netflix acquired it. So it might be maybe Netflix is doing a separate thing through that. So you might go because of that aspect. So I don't know. I do know they did sign a deal. They have acquired all the old products, so it will be available. As far as Peacock goes, though, the only reason why Peacock has Saturday Night's Main Event, to my knowledge, is because it was an NBC program. Not because it was a deal with WWE, but because Peacock is NBC's streaming thing. And then when it, shit the bed on NBC, they just said, okay, we're just going to put it on Peacock. Same thing with SmackDown, which is USA. It's the same NBC Universal. So that's why they have SmackDown. So there's not an exclusivity thing with Peacock. With WWE, to my knowledge, I'm thinking it's because WWE has some of their programming on some NBC channels. So I could see AEW going over, but to do that, AEW would have to move their television probably to an So where would they go? I mean, they could go to USA, but then you've got to, I think it'd be great. AEW and USA could be awesome.
Yeah.
But I think for AEW to go to Peacock, they have to have an NBC broadcast something.
Right.
So I don't know where they would go for that. I would love to see USA, and then maybe if they did do that, I don't know, they might go to a deal letting WWE out of the last few years. I mean, I highly doubt that would happen, but like I said, there's just so many variables on this right now. It's hard to kind of figure out where's going what. We're missing pieces of the puzzles, though.
Right. There's a lot of moving parts with professional wrestling in general right now. It's a very interesting time in professional wrestling. I know the last thing I want to see happen is for AEW to get WCW-nized, as in, sorry, buddies.
I don't see that happening.
I hope not.
I just don't know at this point in time where Tony would go. If somebody would pick it up, it would just be a matter of, who.
Right. Yeah. Well, see, this ends our episode with our AEW recap and so much
history. Sorry.
Other stuff. It's okay.
Next week, though. Next week. I'll throw it out right now. Next week. So, guys, think about these.
Yep.
Our surprise Royal Rumble moments.
That'll work.
Not biggest moments, but those surprises that came out.
When is Royal Rumble, by the way?
2 weeks from Saturday.
2
weeks from Saturday. 2 weeks from Saturday.
Okay.
24th, 31st.
On Friday night, right after a 3-hour SmackDown, it's going to be just Grizzled Vet and I. Robbie Idol was putting on his tights, and we'll be wrestling on Saturday. And because our podcast is so late, thanks WWE, for Friday nights, Robbie Idol needs to get his sleep because he's old and he needs to be ready for his match. So
Robbie needed beauty sleep so he can wrestle with himself. Okay.
It'll be just
can't hang with the big boys for a couple hours.
Robbie, why don't you talk up?
I don't know if I can hang for a couple hours. Once the clock strikes midnight, I might be telling KG, shut this down.
Hey, well, I'd be able to hang, but here's the deal. I don't know if my heart will be able to hang if I drink a couple monsters before I go out to the ring.
Okay, all right, we'll go.
So I got one question for you. Okay, Vet, how old are you?
53.
Okay, so I got 11 years on you.
We know you're old. It's okay. We understand. You just don't want to talk about 3 hours of SmackDown until, like I said, that clock's going to strike midnight. It's going to be Saturday. I'm going to be like, fuck this. I'm done.
I don't want to talk 3 hours of fucking SmackDown.
We're going to make it the quickest recap possible.
Absolutely.
Well, remember, I'm an hour ahead of you, too. So you got
you got that point, too. Yeah, no shit.
Fuck it,
this
man.
could be brutal. But we're going to do it, folks, just for your
Yes, absolutely. And Robbie, why don't you talk up your match and where people can buy tickets and see it?
Okay, so the match is going to be, it's the last TV taping at the Twisted Wrestling Alliance studio. You can get them through me. You can go on social media or through Facebook. Look up me. You can look up Robbie Cook. You can look up Joe. God, I'm going to butcher the shit out of his last name, Sarcino. Or even look at the Twisted Wrestling Alliance on Facebook and try to pull it up and then get the tickets through there. So the main event is going to be me, Richie Paradise, and the Cuban Assassin. Not the Canadian Assassin, but the Cuban Assassin.
Like, actually, like, Fidel is
yes.
real. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Versus Robbie Cook, Pablo Marquez, and Chief Eddie Two Rivers. So that's the main event. They're going to have a women's match, and who I do not know her opponent, but you had her on podcast. What is her name? Arsena or whatever.
Oh yeah, Angel.
Yes. So she's going to be in the women's match. I'm not sure who she's working. So she's going to be there. Not sure of a few of the others. I know they're going to have another student match again with the kids that I've been helping train. They're going to work Anthony Cultus and Brian Johnson, not the Brian Johnson from AC/DC. So
that'd be a match.
So, yeah, right. That'd be a hell of a match. Bell time is at 3:00 in the afternoon.
So will Fantasy be in your corner in that tag match?
Yes, she will.
I'm about to say, you got to keep an assassin. You know, Fantasy's right there.
Yeah,
watch out for her. She's dangerous.
She will be in it. She'll be in our corner.
Watch out, man. You know, your opponents better watch out. She's tricky. No, I like Dave and Fantasy. They're great.
Yes, she's a class act. She's a class act.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, on Monday the 19th, very good friend of mine, the American Giant, Buck. He's going to be on. I love Buck, man. He is a fucking riot. I picked him up from the airport in Vegas at the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion. And I'm like, thank God I have a big ass truck, because poor guy would have been like, he's one big son of a bitch, man. But he's such a good guy. Such a good guy. He's going to be on Monday the 19th. I'm excited to talk to him. I'm going to be adding more to the calendar. I had to cancel a bunch because of my unexpected trip to Louisiana. I'm going to be making that up. Yes, the Grizzled vet, he is forcing me. I mean, I can't wait to have him on as my guest. That's going to be interesting. I don't know if it's going to be, it's not going to really be much of an interview. It's going to be more of just us talking, because of your wrestling knowledge and, be enjoying talking with you so much.
Give a little bit more of my background and just being the bald guy at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, we will do that. But again, until then, guys, you guys have a great week. We will see you guys tomorrow night. After 3 hours of exciting SmackDown.
Oh, Lord.
Until then, you guys have a good Friday. We'll see you guys Friday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.